Hey, what's up, patriots, truth seekers, and everyone who's ever yelled at their TV during a political showdown? Welcome back to Crockett Courtroom Claps, where we break down the moments that don't just make headlines, they shatter empires. If you're new here, smash that subscribe button right now, because today, we're time traveling to one of the most savage, soul-crushing political beatdowns in American history. This isn't just a debate. This is the reckoning. This is Dallas Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett staring down the barrel of a Senate run, and in the process, dismantling a Texas titan brick by brick. Buckle up, we're talking viral clips, career implosions, and a legacy that still echoes through the halls of power. Let's dive in. The debate hall in Austin fell into an electric silence as Ted Cruz, the slick-haired senator known for his Yale pedigree and filibuster marathons, leaned into his microphone, that trademark smirk curling like smoke from a fresh cigar. Cruz, the man who'd outfoxed everyone from Trump to the entire Democratic caucus, adjusted his tie and fired off his opening salvo. What happened in the next 30 seconds would become one of the most viral political moments of the year, a clip that racked up 50 million views in 24 hours, spawned endless memes, and left the Lone Star State questioning who really wears the boots in Texas politics. Picture this. It's late summer 2026, the air thick with barbecue smoke and ballot fever. Jasmine Crockett, the firebrand from Dallas fresh off her House wins, her viral clapbacks, and a reputation as the Democrats' secret weapon, has just thrown her hat into the ring for the U.S. Senate. Ted Cruz, facing a tough re-election after years of border wall photo ops and Cancun getaways, sees her as the perfect foil. A black woman from the urban core challenging his suburban stronghold? It's red meat for his base. The Texas U.S. Senate debate, hosted by the biggest network in the state, is billed as Cruz versus the challenger. But no one, not the pundits, not the pollsters, not even Cruz's army of Ivy League advisors, sees the storm coming. This wasn't just a debate. This was the moment when two worlds collided: the polished machine of establishment conservatism against the raw, unfiltered grit of a public defender turned powerhouse. Cruz, untouchable for over a decade, the guy with the law degree from Harvard, the architect of the government shutdown that nearly toppled Obama, the best-selling author of tomes like One Vote Away, The Rise of Jake Tapper, and The Fall of America's Institutions. Wait. No, that's his real book, but you get it. He's Captain America to the right, the guy who mocks woke warriors and affirmative action hires on his podcast that pulls millions of downloads. He's got a team of 20 researchers, binders full of opposition dirt, and a debate coach who prepped him on every Crockett soundbite from the last 5 years. Across the stage, Jasmine Crockett, not some silver spoon poll nah. This is a woman who clawed her way up as a public defender in Dallas County, fighting for the forgotten in courtrooms that smelled like despair and cheap coffee. She's got real scars, cases where she stared down DAs twice her age, won acquittals for kids the system chewed up, and built a rep as the courtroom gladiator long before Congress called. For this debate, she's prepped for weeks, not with a war room, but solo in her district office, poring over Cruz's voting record with one loyal aide clutching an iPad loaded with PDFs and timestamps. No fancy binders, just facts, fire, and that unshakable Crockett stare, the one that says, "I've seen worse than you in traffic court." The moderator, a neutral anchor from Keksan with a voice like warm honey, kicks things off. "Senator Cruz, Congresswoman Crockett has accused you of flip-flopping on border security. Your response?" Cruz leans back, that folksy drawl kicking in like he's at a backyard barbecue. "Well, folks, Jasmine here talks a big game about protecting our communities. But let's be real, her district's crime rates are through the roof because of soft-on-crime policies she championed in the House. I've fought for the wall, for law and order, while she's been more interested in defunding the heroes who keep us safe." The crowd, a mix of ranchers in Stetsons and Austin techies, murmurs approval. Cruz's eyes gleam. He's landed the first punch, framing her as the radical outsider. Crockett doesn't flinch. She nods slowly, like a lioness sizing up a gazelle, And when her turn comes, she starts soft. Too soft. Senator, I appreciate the concern for Texas families. As a former prosecutor, unlike some who've spent more time on book tours than in committee rooms, I know the real threats aren't walls. They're the failures of leadership that leave our border agents underfunded and our communities divided. It's a gentle jab, almost collegial. Cruz chuckles, waves it off. Prosecutor, that's cute. But results matter, Congresswoman. The audience laughs on cue. He's got her, right? Wrong. This is the trap being laid. The velvet glove over the iron fist. Crockett's smiling now. That quiet confidence building like thunder on the horizon. Before we dive into this explosive confrontation, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. You won't want to miss how Crockett turns the tables next. This wasn't just a debate. This was the arena where pretenders were exposed, where the emperor's new clothes got shredded live on air. Cruz, feeling the momentum, presses his advantage with a softball lob of his own. Congresswoman, you've called my support for the Second Amendment reckless. Tell us, how do you plan to keep guns out of the hands of criminals without infringing on the rights of law-abiding Texans? It's a classic gotcha. Force her to defend gun control in a state where the NRA owns half the zip codes. Cruz's team high-fives in the green room. They've scripted this, complete with zinger follow-ups. Crockett sips her water, lets the silence stretch just a beat too long. Then, boom, the pivot. Senator Cruz, before I answer, let's talk about recklessness. You know, the kind where a sitting U.S. senator flies to Cancun during a Texas winter storm that left hundreds dead while families froze in their homes. That was February 18, 2021, if memory serves. Reckless? I'd say abandoning your constituents mid-crisis tops my list. The hall erupts, gasps, cheers, a few boos from the Cruz faithful. But Crockett's not done. She's quoting receipts now, pulling from that iPad like it's Excalibur. And while we're on abandonment, let's not forget your vote against the Emmett Till Anti-Lynching Act on March 7, 2022. You called it unnecessary. Tell me, Senator, in what world is federalizing lynching unnecessary when Texas still grapples with its hate crime legacy? Cruz shifts in his seat, that smirk faltering for the first time. That's a low blow, Jasmine. We're talking policy, not personal vacations. But the damage is done. The moderators scrambling to regain control as tweets explode across the room. Crockett Cancun is trending before the commercial break. Cruz tries to rally. Look, I've got a lifetime A+ from the NRA because I fight for freedoms you seem eager to erode. Crockett tilts her head, eyes narrowing. Freedoms? Like the freedom from medical debt that you blocked with your no vote on the Affordable Care Act expansion in 2023? Or the freedom from voter suppression you championed with SB 7 on September 1, 2021? The buildup is relentless now, each quote a dagger, each date a time-stamped indictment. Cruz, the untouchable, starts sweating under the lights literally. A bead rolls down his temple, caught by every camera. This isn't debate prep. This is dissection. Crockett's voice rises, not in anger, but in that measured prosecutor's cadence that pins you to the wall. Senator, you've built a career on division, calling January 6th rioters patriots on Fox, January 7, 2021, the day after they stormed the Capitol on your watch. You stoke fear, then sell books about it. But Texas deserves better than a performer. We need a protector. Before we dive into the legal evisceration that left Cruz grasping at straws, drop a like if you're already Team Crockett, and subscribe for more takedowns that rewrite history. This wasn't just a debate. This was the clash of credentials, where Ivy League polish met street-level steel. Cruz, desperate to regain footing, goes for the jugular, the law. He's got his Harvard Law swagger after all. Congresswoman, as someone who clerked for Chief Justice Rehnquist, I can tell you your ideas on judicial reform are amateur hour. You're proposing to pack the courts? That's not constitutional. It's a power grab straight out of Marbury versus Madison's nightmares. He leans forward, expecting applause. Marbury, the 1803 case on judicial review, is his ace, a nod to his conservative cred. Crockett's aide slides her the iPad under the table. She glances, then unleashes. Marbury versus Madison, Senator? The case where Chief Justice Marshall asserted the court's power to strike down laws? Funny you mention it, because in your 2015 book, A Time for Truth, page 147, you railed against judicial activism and called for impeaching judges who legislate from the bench. Yet here you are, defending a court that's gutted voting rights in Shelby County versus Holder, 2013, a decision you cheered on the Senate floor, June 25th of that year. If Marbury established review, you've twisted it into a veto for the powerful. That's not law. That's loophole lawyering. The crowd's on edge now. Cruz's face reddens. He fires back, "You're twisting history. The 14th Amendment protects equal protection, not your radical equity schemes." Crockett doesn't miss a beat. Equal protection? Let's school you on the 14th. Ratified 1868 to shield freed slaves folks who look like me from states like Texas, stripping their rights. You invoked it to block DACA protections in 2018, arguing it didn't apply to undocumented. But Plessy versus Ferguson, 1896, twisted the 14th for separate but equal until Brown versus Board, 1954, fixed it. Your selective reading. It's the same Jim Crow echo, Senator. Dated March 5, 2018, your op-ed in the Wall Street Journal, Cruz stammers, actually stammers. That's not the point. Chevron deference. Crockett cuts him off, voice like a gavel. Chevron? The 1984 doctrine you spent years praising for agency expertise, until the court overturned it in Loper Bright, June 28, 2024. And suddenly you're silent? In your 2022 hearing on EPA rules, you cited Chevron to defer to fossil fuel lobbyists. Flip-flop much? The moderator intervenes, but it's too late. The legal errors are piling up like debris from a wreck. Strickland versus Washington, 1984. Cruz mangles it as ineffective counsel only for death row. But Crockett corrects. No, Senator, it's the standard for all criminal defense adequacy. As a public defender, I've lived Strickland. You've just name-dropped it on cable to sound smart. Your error exposes the sham theory without trial. Then the coup de grace on incorporation. Cruz sneers. The Bill of Rights doesn't apply to states without incorporation. Crockett laughs, a sharp, disarming bark. Incorporation doctrine via the 14th Amendment, Gitlow versus New York, 1925, onward. You've argued against it in amicus briefs for school prayer cases 2019. Basic Con Law 101, Senator. Or did Harvard skip that class for how to win friends and influence donors? The hall is stunned silent, then erupts in a wave of applause that drowns the moderator. Cruz slumps, mic limp in hand. Crockett leans in, voice steady as steel. I have no further questions, Senator. Your qualifications and disqualifications have been sufficiently clarified. Before we unpack the fallout that buried Cruz's campaign overnight, share this video with a friend who needs a dose of real talk and subscribe to join the revolution. This wasn't just a debate. This was detonation. The clip of Crockett's sufficiently clarified line hitting X at 10:17 p.m. CST, retweeted by AOC, Ilhan Omar, and even a reluctant Beto O'Rourke by midnight. By morning, it's everywhere. TikTok edits with dramatic zooms on Cruz's sweat, Instagram reels syncing her quotes to Megan Thee Stallion tracks, YouTube breakdowns racking up views faster than a MrBeast challenge. Crockett clarifies Cruz, becomes the meme of the month, with photoshopped images of her as a Texas Ranger badge pinning his forehead. Media reactions? A feeding frenzy. Politico drops. Cruz's debate debacle. How Crockett exposed the senator's legal lapses at 6 a.m., dissecting every error with footnotes longer than Cruz's filibusters. CNN's Jake Tapper, no fan of either, but a policy wonk, runs a segment. This wasn't trash talk. This was a masterclass in constitutional takedown. Crockett didn't just win the night. She schooled a Senate veteran. Wolf Blitzer chimes in. Ratings for the debate spiked 300% mid-confrontation. America was watching history. Fox? Oh, they tried. Sean Hannity fumes. Liberal ambush. Crockett's a showboat, twisting Ted's words out of context. But even their legal eagle, Andrew Napolitano, off-air whispers to producers, "She got the law right. Chevron flip was spot on." Legal Twitter, that blue-check echo chamber of clerks and profs, loses it. SCOTUS blog. Crockett's incorporation site. Cruz's entire Harvard transcript. Debate night slay. Prof. Levy Law. Strickland? He butchered it. She's the real deal public defender, cred shines. Threads upon threads with law students pausing finals to live tweet breakdowns. Conservative defense? A joke. Cruz's super PAC floods airwaves with ads. Don't let radical Jasmine ruin Texas. But the rebuttals flop harder than his Greenland trip pitch to Trump. His team leaks talking points blaming biased moderators, but ex-users ratio them into oblivion. Blame the Constitution next, Ted? Polls shift overnight. Crockett surges 15 points in the general matchup, her favorables hitting 62% among independents. Donors bail. A major oil baron texts his handler, "Cut the check to her. Cruz is toxic." The career collapse hits like a Texas twister. Cruz's podcast downloads crater 40% in a week. Who wants The Verdict with Ted Cruz when the verdict's in? His latest book, A Rushed Texas Tough, Defending the Heartland, tanks at number 147 on Amazon, outsold by Crockett's impromptu memoir pitch. Senate Republicans whisper mutiny. McConnell's office floats primary challengers. By fall, whispers of a 2028 retirement swirl or worse, a Fox News gig that even Murdoch nixes. Ratings for his appearances? Primetime poison. The untouchable? Untethered. Adrift in a sea of his own sound bites. Meanwhile, Crockett's rise is meteoric. That debate catapults her Senate bid into orbit. Donations pour in. $2 million in 48 hours from small-dollar warriors. Hollywood calls. A Netflix special on underdog senators features her as executive producer. Book deal? Instant clarified. A prosecutor's case against power, ghost-written but soulfully hers. Debuts at number 1, with forewords by Kamala Harris and Raphael Warnock. Law school's clamor. By 2027, she's adjunct chair at UT Austin's Con Law program, lecturing on the art of the takedown from courtroom to caucus. And the pinnacle? In 2028, she argues her first Supreme Court case on voting rights, naturally dismantling precedents with the same precision that felled Cruz. The bench leans in. Even Alito nods. Before we wrap this epic saga with the legacy that outlives them both, comment below. Team Crockett or Forever Cruz? And subscribe next week. We're tackling another bombshell. This wasn't just a win. This was vindication, the underdog's howl echoing through the canyons of power, reminding us that bluster bows to brilliance. In the battle between performance and practice, between podcast pontification and public defense trenches, the truth would always win. Jasmine Crockett didn't just consider a Senate bid that night. She claimed it, owned it, and in doing so, redefined what Texas toughness looks like. Not the cowboy strut, but the quiet storm that clears the room. Cruz? A cautionary tale, a Harvard footnote in the annals of hubris. But Crockett, she's the future, unclarified, unbreakable, and undeniably Dallas. If you made it through this entire story without pausing to applaud, you're a legend. Like this video, subscribe for more unfiltered political fire, and comment below. Did Jasmine Crockett end Ted Cruz's career? Or was this straight-up justice? Drop your thoughts. Was it the Marbury mic drop or the Cancun callback that sealed it? और अगर आपको ये हिंदी में चाहिए, तो बताओ मैं लाऊंगा. Peace out. Stay fierce. And remember, in politics, as in life, clarification is key. See you next time.